I am one page short of finishing my second sketchbook, and we'll do that today, which is very exciting. But first, I wanted to show you a couple things that I have on the side for moments like this. I have this box full of little treasures and things that I like to collect because I find them pretty. I want to tape down some of this washi tape before I start using them. Some sketches of things that I've been working on. Whenever I see packaging with colored paper with a blank area, I'll take out my paper punches and use some of those bits and pieces that I cut out as some collage supplies for my pages. So I'm separating everything into two piles. The one on the left is stickers and things that have some sort of adhesive backing. And on the right, it's sketches and things that I've used as props for photos, packaging little bits, and things that I would need to use glue with. This is the backing of a sticker sheet that I got, and it's a good example for something that I would probably use a paper punch with. But I won't do it now because I might use it in some other way later. Wink wink. When I have stickers without the backing paper, like this little round that was on top of a washi tape, I grab a piece of parchment paper and keep it there so it won't stick to everything else. Some of these stickers I got from my friends, so I kind of want to write about them in my journal. And these sticky notes, I probably got them in a trip somewhere, and I want to do the same thing. Alright, now that my triage is done, we can finally start. On the left side of my sketchbook, that's where you see I'll glue and paste a bunch of things as little collages, because I use markers a lot and they bleed through the page. Since I cannot draw on top of that, I'll cover it with a bunch of stuff. I'm starting off the page with something I'm very excited about. I got myself some fabric that I thrifted the other day, and I'm looking forward to sewing a crop top set, like a crop top and a skirt set. I've done skirts before, but it's my first time doing a crop top with little buttons on the front. I decided to grab myself a sewing pattern for that, and that was so frustrating because I ended up being a victim of an AI product on Etsy. I've bought sewing patterns from Etsy before, and they were so lovely. Most people have pictures of the steps to follow through, and some even have YouTube videos showing some more difficult, tricky parts. But this one had like something similar to an IKEA manual, which is kind of more of an old-fashioned pattern, I think, like the black and white illustrations with a very formal text. So that's what I got, but it didn't match the vibe of the pictures and the writing on the description of the product on Etsy. Everything was very modern and it looked like a young person had written it. And in the instructions of this pattern, it looked like a very vintage thing. And once you have it in your hands and you start putting the pieces together, it all makes sense that it was probably generated by AI. But when I was looking through the pictures and trying to gauge if it was the kind of style of garment that I wanted, I did not think, it didn't even cross my mind that it could be AI. And I had heard of people complaining about AI products on Etsy, of course, but I guess it hits you harder when it happens to you. Hindsight is 2020, but I'll definitely be more mindful when I get something from Etsy, if I do. Anyway, AI aside, I love thrifting fabric. It's one of my favorite things because it's like a third of the price. A meter or a yard of fabric could range between $20 to 40 something, depending on the type of fabric and how pure or natural the fibers are. And I can find some very pretty ones like tablecloths or bed sheets that have at least 3 or 4 usable meters for like $6 or $7, which is so good, especially if you want something to practice on or are just starting out. This brown plaid fabric that I showed you is a tablecloth, and it had a few spots and stains here and there, but I'll still be able to make a piece of clothing from it. A piece of clothing that was $7 and it's not fast fashion. That's amazing. Okay, so next is something that I find absolutely fantastic, and it's a topic that's very dear to my heart. I was listening to a podcast called Farm to Table. It's a conversation between farmers and the editors of a local newspaper of the little valley that I live on. And there's a bunch of very, very interesting topics. Like, one of the episodes is called Farming for Restaurants, and it talks about the partnership between growers and chefs. But they also mentioned something that I didn't know about. There is this unique dining concept in Quebec where people can eat fresh, local, and homemade food directly at the farms where they grow pretty much everything that they use for the dishes and the meals. Of course, it can range between at least 50 or 60% to 100% of the production in house. But the overall experience is that you sit down to eat local ingredients and talk to the people who grow them right there at your restaurant. It's called table champêtre, as you can see that I wrote up there, and it kind of translates to a rustic table, a farm to table experience. And sometimes they'll even offer little tours around the farm to show you where they raise the animals or where they grow their crops. And that sounds so, so lovely. I can't wait to go there one day. I also wonder what kind of things are they serving during winter when there's less of an abundance of fresh produce. But I also think that they probably can and preserve and ferment a bunch of things to make up for the lesser amount of freshness, which is super cool. When I listen to this podcast, I feel so connected to everything around me because it's just like things that are happening all the time and we don't always think about it in the city. For example, we all eat every day, pretty much all the time. But there are so many things involved in the production of food that we don't know. And the podcast kind of shine lights into a few of them. For example, there is an episode about the fall harvest, and they kind of talk about how is it going, like what's growing really well and what's not and why. And I learned that this year was kind of horrible. Very dry and hot. And living in the city, we kind of think about those things weather related just for like activities and if it's pleasant to be outside and things like that. But to learn that we have less food and the crops are stressed out and the animals need help staying cool and the farmers need to spend a lot of money buying fans to cool them down just so that they are alive, you know? Also, the workers outside all day in the sun need tons of breaks and hydration, which changes the rhythm of the workday. It's like all these things are happening and we don't even realize. Then sometimes we go to the supermarket and just get frustrated that we can't find certain items or that they're more expensive that year. I know that it has a lot to do with other factors, but just to know a little bit more about what's behind the scenes makes me have so much more compassion and see food with kinder eyes, you know? Now, the coincidence of the year is that I was going for a little hike the other day at this nature reserve, and on the way back home, I found that one of these restaurants with the rustic experience, the table champêtre, and it was so funny because I was not looking for it, and it just appeared right in front of me, and it was so pretty and so nice to see it after I had learned about it on the podcast. If I hadn't, I would have just passed by it and it would have been just a random structure building looking thing. But because I recognized the sign and the name, it meant so much more. I remember the prices were not that crazy. It was like $100 per person before tax, which is not that insane for a fine dining experience. It could be worse. And this is me trying to find excuses to go there. So I went on the website of this wildlife reserve that I was hiking on. It's called Les Amis du Lac Saint-Francis, which means the friends of the St. Francis Lake. So cute. because it's a big reserve, they have lots of information on the website, and it's very nice. You can learn about the animals and the flora around there, which is what I did. So I had seen a bunch of things on my hike, but I don't really have my phone on me because I just want to look around and appreciate it without having a screen and having to constantly be looking and searching for things online. But I was curious to learn a few things. So I started browsing some of the names and the species that we could find, and I could recognize a few that I also have around me at home. And I wanted to draw one of them to kind of like symbolize that I went all the way there, but the nature is still the same. Kind of when I think of the separation between the United States and Canada, it's two different countries, but everything is still the same nature-wise. It's not because there's a human-made barrier that the environment is going to change drastically. It does not. We share the same species of things and the same kind of vegetation and climate. I picked dogwood, which is a purple berry with red stems. It's very pretty, but I don't think it tastes very good. I have never tried it, but I've heard that it's bitter and kind of meh. But the birds love it. And how do you know that the birds have eaten it? Well, they eat a bunch and then they come to my patio, and then I see purple poopity poops everywhere. I guess they don't think it's bitter. So other than plants and mushrooms, I saw a bunch of birds that day, and a garter snake crossed the path right in front of me. She was about a foot away, which was incredible. It was one of those moments where you just freeze and you're like, oh my god, there's a freaking snake in front of me. But I knew that she was cute and nice to humans. So I wasn't really scared. It was more like the shock until you assimilate what happened. It's pretty interesting to face our instincts like that, especially when you're alone. I was just Googling the website again because I wanted to know if it was turtles or tortoises that they have there. And I realized that the name of the place is Lac Saint-François, not Lac Saint-Francis. Okay, so they have about 4 species of turtles, and I didn't see any, sadly. I think they only come out when, like, to be visible when they're nesting. Other than that, I think they stay pretty hidden. Visiting the website again reminded me how technology is amazing when it's not overwhelming us. To think that I went to a hike and then I could just look at everything that I saw there and have help identifying what I saw, and I could do all that by myself without having to go anywhere. That's pretty crazy. Sometimes I'll take pictures of things that I want to draw later. So I picked up my phone and I was browsing through my photos, and I saw this mushroom and I was trying to identify it using apps. The one I'm using right now is called Seek. It's a gray mushroom on a birch tree. Sometimes we're kind of funny as humans. We just decided that it's gonna be called a gray birch polypore, which is just a name for the type of fungi that it is. So essentially, gray mushroom that lives on that specific tree. It's a very cool looking mushroom, and it's very nice to learn about its taste for specific birch trees. But I didn't find it very aesthetically pleasing to draw. So I skipped it. But while I was looking for it, I did find a picture of me on a little platform right by the entrance of the wildlife refuge before I left my phone in the car. And when I zoomed in, I remembered that I really liked the pattern on my little sweater looking jacket. So that's what I'm gonna draw next. A great lesson on how sometimes you're looking for one thing and then you find something else and you could just swap. It's actually a funny picture for me to look at now because I set up my phone on a little platform to take this picture of myself because I was alone. And it was a very windy day, so the wind ended up knocking down my phone and it broke the screen on the left side, as you can probably see. And I had like a section of pictures that was very funny. Like the first one is good, but then the next ones are like picture of the sky, picture of the ground, picture of blackness. Because it tried to take pictures as it was falling. Poor thing. I appreciate your service, phone. If you're wondering why I put that sticker with the little blue jello looking thing, I don't know either. I think I was wondering what kind of desserts they would serve at that fancy restaurant, because the pictures of the meals looked so good, but I didn't see anything sweet looking. So I was very curious. I love drawing patterns from clothes and things like tablecloths or bed sheets. It's so lovely. In fact, sometimes I turn them into my own stickers. The stickers I sent out for my mail club in the month of August had a little pattern on the top, the strawberry flowery one, and it actually came from a blanket that I got as a housewarming gift. I love knowing that I turned it into something else and I can keep it there with me and remind me of the little present I got from my friends when I moved here. So sweet. It reminds me of how much more precious it is to draw things from my own life and my own experiences instead of just pretty looking things from Pinterest or Instagram or things like that. I still do it, don't get me wrong, because if it's something is pretty to look at and it makes me want to draw it, why not? That random clock over there on the bottom left is one of those, and I think there's pleasure and joy in that too. I have this sticker sheet with these little frames. They're made from washi paper, so they're not really glossy or matte. They're kind of like a cloth. It's very satisfying to touch. So to pay homage to its origin, I thought of using it as kind of a screen tone and having it go under my drawing. So I grabbed a very fine utility knife and I'm scraping it and I'm cutting the little sticker around my drawing, which I didn't even know if it was gonna work or if it was gonna cut through the paper completely. But I think it worked out okay. It was fun. Mini paper surgery for us. What I'm writing inside of it, it's lyrics from a song from an album that I've been enjoying recently. It's from a guy called Joshua Sloan. He just released his first album. It's kind of like a folk slash country. Sometimes it's very cheesy, but it's so cute and I really like his voice. I made sure to include my struggles using correction tape for the first time. How? I probably spent a good 5 minutes wondering if it was me, if it was the tape, if it was expired, if anything. I ended up being very resourceful and just painting the thing with a white marker, which didn't work very well. So I resorted to placing a good old piece of washi tape on top. I mean, it worked. And it's done. Not only the spread, but the whole sketchbook is finished. I can't believe it. I'll film a little tour of me flipping through it and telling you some stories behind my drawings and start a whole new one, which is very exciting. I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!